Hello folks, I hope that you're having a great day today. Today I'm going to take a look at the nature of Solomon Kane. He's a hero that we're going to be looking at a little bit here moving forward in this channel. And I want to take a little bit of time out for Robert E. Howard's Solomon Kane and my sort of history with it. And what we're going to be doing with the channel. This is a bonus episode to kind of talk about what my plan is for it. I'm not publishing this on my normal day, so I'm not going to spend that much time with it. But anyway, Solomon Kane is one of the pulp heroes that was created by Robert E. Howard, who was probably best known for his characters that he created, rather than the worlds like Clark Ashton Smith or the mythos of an H.P. Lovecraft. I would say that his characters like Conan, Call, Solomon Kane are these big, giant archetype heroes that defined the pulps of their day. Now, I first came to Solomon Kane through this comic, The Savage Sword of Conan. The Savage Sword of Conan is actually my first introduction to Conan. I didn't see the movies. I didn't read the Conan the Barbarian short story of comics by Marvel first. This is actually, I didn't read the short stories. I didn't come to Conan through anything else. This is actually my first experience with Conan. Is this adult-oriented black and white comic book with 64 pages in it, giant oversized thing that I picked up at my local store in southern West Virginia. There wasn't even a comic store there. You could still pick them up back when I was a child at a grocery store, local IGA store that had these little comics. And here, let me show you what the comics actually have in them. In these comics proper, there is a key feature story. In this case, it's the Isle of the Faceless Ones. This is Savage Sword of Conan 115. So, as you can see, there are these main stories. This one starts on page 7. And then there's a second story in here too. In this case, it starts on page 58 of 64. These tend to be 4, 5, 6, or 7 pages long. And most of the time, they would feature a hero that was not Conan. Although sometimes it would just be a second Conan story. And Savage Sword 115, it actually is a backup of Conan itself proper. But this was how I was introduced not only to Conan, but to Robert E. Howard's other heroes. The most popular of these heroes, and the one that you would come across the most often, was King Cole, Cole the Conqueror, who was probably one of the more popular. He's a more traditional fantasy one. But my most favorite one, which they didn't do that often, was Solomon Kane, the Puritan who's dual-wielding pistols, who's fighting as sort of this... begrudgingly as this token of vengeance against the forces of evil on behalf of God. And he's literally fighting against enemies of hell, enemies of Satan, these nastiest creatures, and he sees the nastiest stuff, and he's not doing it willingly, let me tell you that, but this Puritan hero. And there's just something in the Solomon Kane story that just bites me. I also think it's viscerally appealing too. The idea of this guy wearing traditional Puritan clothing that you might see at Thanksgiving, who has these double pistols and a rapier, and he's this jaded, dark, almost an anti-hero character, is just something I found very compelling to me. So what I'm going to be starting to introduce to you some of the Solomon Kane stuff in it. When I decided to start really sort of reading Robert E. Howard bigger than anything else, this collection here, The Savage Tales of Solomon Kane, was my first collection that I picked up by him, and I devoured it in less than a week. I just enjoyed it a whole lot. So what I want to do for you now is I want to actually go ahead and start setting aside some time to do some Solomon Kane reviews. My idea is to go through this story. It's about 20 short stories in here, and read roughly one at a time each day, record them for you, and then dedicate a day to them, kind of like I've done with Clark Ashton Smith a couple of michael Moorcock. I'm currently doing it with Robert W. Chambers. So my goal is to kind of do that with Robert E. Howard's Solomon Kane. So if you're not familiar with Solomon Kane, if you've heard of him, but you've never decided that you want to take a look at him, I'll link you to this collection in the comments below in case you want to get started. We'll probably get started with this probably in a couple of weeks, probably about 3 or 4 weeks or so, once I finished up my current batch of recordings that I've done for you. So I'm going to give this to you in the comments below in case you're interested in following along or getting caught up with these stories, or if you're just interested in the guy himself. I think he is my second favorite hero after Conan, by Robert E. Howard. So I do like him a lot. So we'll go ahead and start reviewing those characters for you. And my goal is to dedicate a week until I've done all of his characters. Now, I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm going to reserve the right to not do that because my interest may wither, right? That certainly happens. Sometimes something else will catch my interest. I'll get, I'll take a deep dive somewhere else. Like for example, I was going through, and it was my intention to do every single Elric story by Michael Moorcock, which is a big, giant undertaking. I was going to go back and reread them all. So I'd be fresh in my mind when I went back and did them for you for the third time. And I got about 4 or 5 novels into it, and then I put it down. I just got caught up with the science fiction stuff over the summer, and I was reading Philip K. Dick, and I was reading, Arthur C. Clarke, and I was reading Isaac Asimov. I was going back and rereading Robert E. Heinlein's like giant tomes for you and recording them for this thing. I was also reading a whole bunch of new stuff too, like Joe Haldeman's The Forever War. So I was really in this sort of classic science fiction, Hugo Award winning stuff over the summertime, and I knocked out a whole bunch of stuff for that too. My passion changed. Well, this is a project that will take me, this is going to take me like a long time to knock it out. It'll take me weeks if I write 1 short story a day and record it, that's going to be like at least 3 weeks of short stories. And it's very possible that like a week into it, 2 weeks into it, I might get, caught up with something else. So I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's very, very possible that, we won't finish the Solomon Kane stories, or I'll just put them on hold like I've done with Michael Moorcock's Elric. And then, I know we'll come back to the Elric stuff. I know we'll come back to the Solomon Kane stuff if we don't finish it. But again, that is something that I want to do for the channel for you. So I wanted to bring it to you why I like it and what we're going to be doing with the channel with Solomon Kane moving forward. So I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Have you read the Solomon Kane stuff? What you think of the character? I would be happy to engage you with it in the comments below. Feel free to, if you're excited about this idea of taking a deep dive into some stuff by Robert E. Howard, feel free to subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a whole lot more of this stuff to follow, right? And then finally, hey, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day and watching my video. We all have so many things happening in our lives, right? So the fact that you spent this time with me is incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have a great day.